So I was just thinking about this. All right, you can get a camshaft out of your engine if you have an engine, that you're not, in a car you're not really using. But like, rarely is that the case, except for people that are really into cars, I guess. But maybe you can find one in a junkyard, that's beat the fucking shit or something like that. And if you happen to have a 3D printer or some sheet aluminum or something like this, and you're willing to bend it a little, okay, you can effectively make a mold and then place in it some nickel ion, fluid. So basically, it has nickel in it, right? And of course, Nickelform over that into the mold, so long as you don't hit where the bearings are supposed to go to for your camshaft area, right? And you can use that to get a larger lobe and lift. I mean, to a point, like you got to test that, or really, truthfully, you got to look it up. I'd prefer it if you were to test it, though. Like for the actual distance of lift here that you can actually, genuinely get. Right, but like lobe, meanwhile, is duration. So like you have to be careful. So the longer the lobe, the better top end, but the worse lower end performance you get because it doesn't go up. You can either change that around by getting a diesel spring, so that's a stiffer spring, so it goes up faster, and you can change most modern day vehicles have a VVT system. So if you're going to put it back in, you can kind of do a little trick here with a little tune of going back one tooth or something similar, and VVTing it forward just a bit to get away with like not having it fuck up your lower end as much, which is great. It's as much though. Same thing for some of these other techniques for like just sticking it, just a little bit. Well, it all depends. It's one of those things where it's like you usually want to get only a little bit of duration, not so much lift. But lift can help. It depends, right? Like there's a mild to aggressive cam change that you could try and attempt. Granted, this would be one of those things where I'd go, do you have a lawnmower engine? I happen to have one. This is something I was planning on using it, like as a technique for. So that way I could test all of this before I ever did it with my vehicle. Which is another reason why it's funny to watch, like, people go, it can't be done. I'm like, you just fucking test. It's steel. Like, you can plate nickel onto steel. Fact of the matter is, and it tends to survive for a very long period of time. Same thing for your crank and same thing for your cylinders. You know what I mean? Like, they do last a good long period of time. You can hone them then and then cross-hatch them and then plate them. And it keeps it pretty well. It gets your compression back. It's like a refurbishment to a point. Like you do have to worry about flaking to some people, but you don't really have to worry about it quite the same way. So long as you understand that you have to go above the cylinder and over top and below the cylinder and over top, that. So that way, when it expands and contracts, right, because you do have that crosshatch, right? That allows for mechanical grip, but then you have to crosshatch it again. That allows for it to expand and contract. Right. Now, what that allows then from there is a non-flaking stress and strain on your form plate, right? So forming for the camshaft is fine, right? Like, you can get away with that, yeah. But, cylinder-wise, same thing, but you got to make sure that you go around, so that way it experiences similar heating stresses and strains throughout the cylinder. Standard stuff. To a point. Like, I keep forgetting an awful fucking lot that, like, that character bit kind of needs to go away. It's not standard. I get that it's quite advanced in a sense, but if you really just kind of like think about it, like, all I did was just put something into a basic form mold, right, and just shove some fluid there, and then got a power supply, changed the little dial boy, you know what I mean, and applied some fucking voltage and amperage. That's all I did. Positive, negative. It's effectively a liquid powder coat. That's all it is, right? But like, if you listen, it's the most advanced thing in the whole wide world. It's like, a little, but like not really. It's just that it takes forever sometimes, right? But when you're talking about like thous, meaning, microns, right? That's nothing for an engine, to do. That's like a couple of hours to maybe a day or two. Not that hard or bad. Like, you can practice it and you can get it done. Which effectively means that you can refurbish a lot more of your engine than you think. But of course, that then implies that you're willing to get your hands dirty and do some of that work. So, like, when I say this, yes, you can do it. It also means, no, you are probably a lazy piece of shit, like most people, and don't want to spend the time. Who wants to take their engine out? Who wants, like drop their crank, take off all the bolts, get out their connection rods, leave it in, get some, basic plugs, right, for the top and the bottom, the right way. You either have to 3D print or some other shit, and then fill it up with some fluid and then run some electricity through it. You know what I mean? Like on an engine stand, maybe like with an L28, like I have. That's iron. Bye.